And we are live. Welcome to Bigfoot Forest Giants, everybody. I am Jimmy Barr. My co-host is MIA. Bobby is, you've heard me say it before, he's one of the busiest men I've ever known. And he's got a lot going on tonight. His wife is out of state, so he has assumed her duties after work. So he's going to be really, really busy probably for the next 4 hours. Maybe if we get lucky, he'll pop in, but I'm not planning on it. But if he does, it'll be a bonus. Thanks everybody for being here tonight. We got a great guest, and he is going to curse me like no other if I get his last name wrong. His name is Mel Skahan. I pray that it's Skahan. If not, yeah, I'm gonna get lashes. But I want to thank everybody for coming in tonight. Right now, we got my cousin Jamie. Hey, girl. Miss Cashew's here. How you doing, Miss Cashew? Miss Cashew is one of our moderators. It's just her and Miss Diana. That's just the best out there. Mel's going to talk about his encounters and experiences in the woods, maybe some things he's got coming up. And he is, I could be getting this wrong, but I believe he's a member of a Native American tribe. I think it's Yakima. I could be wrong. Again, lashes to be had if I'm wrong. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring Mel on, everybody. Let's welcome Mel. How you doing, bud?
Doing great. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for taking the time to come on and talk to us about, your experiences and what you've done out there.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm glad to share with your audience. I've always enjoyed sharing, and sometimes I overshare and then I get talking to by certain folks, because of certain things that there's lines that I'm not supposed to cross as far as my research and experiences, and going too far and explaining them. But recently, I have been going out with different groups and asked by them and sharing and showing them things that I have learned over my time. And by the way, yeah, it's Skahan, but
Oh, son of a mother! I knew I would mess it. Skahan.
That's fine.
I knew it.
Potato. You were really close.
Mashed potato or hash browns. I was way off. It's Skahan, not Skahan. Okay,
Yeah,
Skahan.
yeah.
So, yeah, I'm a terrible person.
And I am also
admit.
a member of the Yakima Nation here in Central Washington State.
Awesome. Have you lived here your whole life?
Yes. I've lived in Washington all my whole life.
We had another guest. You may know who he was. Thomas Seawig.
Oh yeah, I know Thomas. Yep.
And I asked him a question that I think it's stumped him just because I think it's something he may never have thought of. I'll ask that of you as well, if you're okay with questions.
Okay. Yeah.
He had talked about the culture and the pass down of the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, in their culture. One thing I asked him though was, is there a beginning? Is there a beginning where you've got a story from the very first time our eldest ancestor had an encounter that created the relationship or the interaction, continuous interaction, if there was continuous interaction? Is there a beginning story with the Yakima Nation with Sasquatch or Bigfoot that started whatever interaction that had gone on over the time? Am I making any sense?
Yeah. You
Okay.
are, and it's such a big, huge question, because you have currently within the tribal of the Yakima Nation somewhere right around 14,000 members, and you have members that have been with the families that have been with the Yakima Nation before they were called the Yakima Nation, and then you have people that have disenrolled and gone other ways because of family blood and everything like that. And but it just depends on the family that you talk to and how many have had those stories from the very beginning passed on to them. And unfortunately for me, when I got into this, I tried asking my family members about anything historical or traditional passed down, and then you just get the broad stuff of, oh yeah, you know, your great uncle, or you know, somebody down the way had an encounter with them, but nothing to share as far as, you know, the very beginning.
Is there an overall opinion or understanding of the Yakima Nation about what they are or where they're from, how long they've been here? Um, Temperament, are they here to help? Are they here to hurt? Are they just benign and want to be left alone type of thing?
And again, that, you know, that just depends on the families that you talk to within
Okay.
the tribe, and you know, each one will answer differently. You know, my mom had a great saying, he taught me very young, is that you don't speak for the tribe, you just speak for yourself.
Right.
And um, with, you know, when I started doing this at work, because you know, I was a forestry worker at the time with the tribe, the stories that I was bringing back of my encounters from a day out in the woods, I would try to share with people, and then those started getting out. Then the stories started coming to me of different enrolled members having their encounters doing various things. And when when you're in a sensitive area like working in forestry, then you have to be very careful of the type of information that you share, because um, you know, what are you going to do once it's discovered? I mean, how are we going to treat these folks when it comes time? And you know, I've taken stories from 9,000 feet, 8,000 feet up on Mount Adams, all the way down to, if you know the Yakima Valley, it's a big agricultural area. So there, it's not just like, oh, you're only going to see, you know, bears in a certain timber typing. You know, bears do move around. Bears are seen in down in agriculture areas throughout Washington State, and so if you're going to protect something, how are you going to protect it? I mean, they have such a broad range movement, and so I mean, it's tough with the forest people question as well. What happens? How are you going to protect them? And it's there's no way. There's no simple answer for it, and it's going to take years for anybody to try to you know, isolate them to certain areas, because like the previous Native Americans, you know, they're Europeans as well. We always had to move around for foods, for trade, for interaction, and everything like that. And you know, when you done that, when that was done, then you know, your families grew up in France, your families Italy, you know, everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
because of the mixed blood. And same thing here, your families, you know, are in northern western Washington and British Columbia, Saskatchewan. I mean, so it's you just can't isolate it into one little thing.
Yeah. There's they don't understand borders and fences, and they'll do whatever they want. You know,
Mm-hmm.
just like bears, they'll go right through them.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, let's talk about, if you're okay, share it with you with your encounter. Um, I haven't heard it. Over the moon to hear it, because I love hearing people's encounters they haven't heard before, because it allows me and others that are listening to see if, okay, that makes sense, that happened to me, um, or you know what I mean. They can validate things that they've went through as well, or
Mm-hmm.
you know, you might bring up something that you heard snapping and a smell, you know, before this happened, and they're like, yeah, I kind of brushed that off because I didn't think much of it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The details, don't leave any out.
Okay. And so
Also, I don't want you to get in trouble with anything that you mentioned earlier about not sharing too much or anything like that. So when I say don't leave anything out, tell us what you can.
okay. Yeah. I mean, are we talking about the sighting, or are we talking? I mean, There are so many things that I've encountered with them. I mean,
Uh, you can go however you want. If you want to go linear, if you want to go jump around, but I would love to hear the sighting. I think we all would too.
okay. So this happened during work, and we were going out to look for an area that required a long walk in, and we wanted the simplest route in. So we started when we were heading back in. We took a detour into this spot to try to find a road that would take us to the top of the hillside, so we'd have a closer walk down in. And so as we're driving this road, my coworker was on the passenger side. This was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we drove through a logged area. It had been partial cutted, which means that all the trees were not taken. There were spaces in between the trees, and this was mainly a ponderosa pine stand. So it was a dry site. The area was flat. Like I said, the area had been logged, so there was a big landing deck where they pulled all the material up from the hillside or from the surrounding skid trails, and then processed the trees into wood logs to be hauled out. And so as we drove through this area, there was this big landing there of woody material, and it was probably about 30 feet tall. I mean, it was a big landing. And so as we're approaching it, my partner, who was on the right hand side, says that, and he started stuttering, and he goes, "There's something. There's something back there." And I go, "Well, what was it?" He goes, "I don't know." He goes, "But there's something back there." So I put it in reverse, and I started backing up and watching in the mirrors so that I don't go off the road or hit anything off the side of the road. And as we're backing up to his sighting location, and I call it his sighting location at the time because he was the only one that had seen it. And so as we're backing up, uh, I'm looking right and I'm looking to the left and I'm looking in the rearview mirror. And then I turn to my left and I start looking back, and then still moving back. And then he goes, "There it goes." And this was right around 80 to 100 feet off the road on his side. And it had been standing next to a ponderosa pine tree with its arm fully extended out. And so when he said, "There it goes," I looked off to the left and moved forward. And then I, what he told me was his arm was straight out leaning against the tree. But when I saw it, it already had dropped its arm and had begun to turn to its left. And so it took 2 steps to the left, and probably one when he said, "There it goes." And then I saw the third, and then the fourth step, and then it started on a full run away from us. He started off on a full walk, and you could see the muscle movements of the back of the arms. He was dark in color. He was very muscular. And then as he was moving away from us, his speed picked up. And so you've seen the muscle movement of the shoulder swing as it's taking its long strides, which turned into a jog and then turned into a run after that. And as he was on his run, he turned off to the right, and then you could see his side profile. And then as he's going through some of the shrubbery in between us, you could still see the shoulder movement as it's gliding along. And then he kind of hooked off to his left, and then that's when he got out of sight. And so I got people always ask me, "Well, why don't you carry a camera?" And I said, "Well, I do carry a camera for work purposes and for scenery and everything else, depending on the area that I'm in." And I remembered I had one in my vest, which was in the back seat behind me, and I grabbed that and I put it on, and then I went over to where he took off, where he was standing next to the tree, and then I started putting started tracking him, and I started putting sticks in the ground of all the impressions that I was finding from his sidestepping, which is just, a few inches to, half a foot to a foot. And then when he turned and he was running away from us, then you saw the stride lengths go from 4 feet to 5 feet to 6 feet to 10 feet to 12 feet on a full run.
Yeah.
And then every step that he had taken, the impressions that were in the ground, you could see how fast he was going, from when we witnessed it to actually seeing on the ground his huge stride length that he had just to get out of there. And then when I lost him or stopped tracking him, he had gone over like about a 60 to 70% slope. So he was on flat ground like this, and then the slope turned to this.
Oh, geez.
And then that's when I stopped tracking him. And then my coworker came up and asked what was going on. And I told him, I said, just seeing if he's going to come back around, or see if we can, sit there for a while and see if he makes any sounds or anything else like that. But it was just seconds that this had happened. And I said, to see such a, the ordinary stride, which is, 4 to 5 feet in between on a normal walking gait,
yeah,
to go up to 12 feet on a full run. I mean, I was just floored by what I looking at, and, we measured and everything. And we had gone back to the tree where he was at, and then we measured him to somewhere right around 8 feet tall.
Yeah, I think maybe it's just a theory. I think their ability to make those strides has a lot to do with that mid torsal too.
That mid torsal, yeah, and then having
th-
legs that are 6 feet long too.
yeah,
that helps a lot.
the muscle, they got to be the muscle density's got to be insane, but I've had and heard reports of 10, 12-foot strides when they really get going. One person that I know, a researcher that I know, he said when they had those long strides, they also had knuckle impressions too.
No, this one did not put his hands on or his arms or he wasn't leaning forward. He was straight up when he was running.
Gotcha. And you said it was black?
Yeah, he was totally black and just full on muscle. I mean, just picture
a hairy Hulk.
A hairy Hulk, exactly. I mean, he was a bulky Hulk, that in that sense, but he just didn't have a lot of fat on him when he was
I see.
away.
Yeah. Now, what were you going through emotionally, mentally when you seen that? Did you know about them prior? Did you think they existed? Did you believe they existed? Was it the culture that made you aware of them, and so you weren't too shocked? Or where were you at, in your state of mind when you seen this? Were you dazed? Were you confused? Were you excited? Was it everything all at once?
Before that sighting, I'd had other encounters with them, with seeing the prints in the snow, to hearing their vocalizations, and then being paralleled by them, followed by them while I was out in the woods. So I was,
Aware.
To see them, I was aware that they existed. So it didn't shock me. It shocked my coworker more than anything, even though he had seen them 2 times prior to that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We had been talking about different events throughout our careers. And so he told me some of his encounters with them. And so he seemed more shocked that because somebody was with him. The other encounters that he was alone and he was scared. And so he ran from them. And this one here, he didn't expect to see it within the vehicle and then see his crazy coworker get out and start following it. But the kicker is the next day, because we were in there for a reason. The next day we went down over the hillside, and not near where the sighting area was. We had about another quarter mile up this road to go, and then we had gone over. Same coworker. Next day, we started walking down, and we hit this talus slope. It's just nothing but rock, and it was about 60 to 70%. And so we were about a half a mile into it already, and we figured if we called somebody on the radio, they'd pick us up at the bottom and then take us all the way around to the top to our truck. But we couldn't get a hold of anybody. So he picked up a couple of good football, soccer ball sized rocks, and he rolled one off the hill. And then, we all did it as kids and everything. And
Yeah.
so this rock was bouncing down the hill and then going all over the place. And as we were watching it, I seen something down below, and I said, "Hey, there's something down there." I said, "It just went behind a tree." And so I said, "I'm going to go take a look at it." And so he stayed up. I gave him the radio to try to get a hold of somebody. So I went down, and I went to the place where I saw whatever that shadow was go from its right side to my right, back to its left, to get behind it, the tree that was down there. And when I got down there, I saw the impressions in the ground, because this was in loose dirt and some woody debris. And then what I looked down the hill, I seen where it took off and went straight down the hill. And then I started following the tracks, and the stride length down a hill at 60 to 70% was impressive, from 7 to 10 feet, on seeing the heel hit the ground, and as it built up momentum as it was going down the hill, to see it slide.
Yeah.
And then the other leg come down, the other heel hit, and then it slid. And to watch this, to see all this going on, how whatever did this, was getting out of here quick, and it was using the soft soils to know how far it could take its strides and then land safely, and then move. And then it hooked off to its left. And then I just gave up after that. And then I started walking back up the hill, because I couldn't see my coworker anymore. And so I was measuring the slide length and the stride in between each step. And then I could see my coworker up above. And he was standing there. And this was about 11 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the afternoon or morning. And then all of a sudden I just see him running, and I'm looking straight up, and I'm watching him run across the slope. And then I see a rock rolling down the hill, and he caught up to me, and he was out of breath. And I asked him what's going on. He goes, "Did you hear it?" I was like, "No, I didn't hear anything." He goes, "You didn't hear it?" I'm like, no, I saw the rock that you kicked loose. He goes, "I didn't kick that rock loose. That rock was thrown at me." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "You didn't hear it?" I was like, "No, I didn't hear it." And he goes, What? I go, what was it? He goes, he said, "I had the radio, and I was trying to get a hold of somebody. And then all of a sudden I hear above me this, whoa, ah." And then I turned to look up, and then I see this rock being hurled at me. And he goes, "I didn't kick that rock loose." He goes, this rock had an arc to it, and it landed next to me. And then that's when I started running down to you. And so then I walk back up, and I go, "How far above was it?" He goes, and then he pointed up, and I said, "Okay, well, guide me up." So I got up there, and he goes, "Yeah, right in there." And then I looked at the ground. Like I said, it was the talus rocky slope, so couldn't find any tracks or anything like that. But the rest of the day, as we were working our way down to this area that we were going to work in, he was on edge. He was looking at, he was hearing things. He's like this. He's all nervous wreck and everything.
Freaking out, yeah.
So it's interesting. It was, they see something like that and then have that experience the very next day, possibly by the same subject. And
Yeah.
that, the lesson learned on that was like, you never roll rocks down the hill because you never know if there's something might be down there.
Yeah. Yeah. Almost sound like retaliation a little bit.
It was retaliation. So I told him, he goes,
Yeah.
well, I didn't throw a rock at you. He says, because I was the one that didn't roll the rock down the hill. I said, it saw you rolling the rock. He said, you're not going to throw a rock at me. So he came back and threw one at you.
Yeah. Have you had stories or encounters of that people have talked about where they've seen the same one? Not the one that you've seen, but their encounter, they've seen it more than once.
Yes. Yes. It was a subject that I was following for a while. I'd found his family, meaning that it was him, a female, and a little one that I found the prints in the snow. And I followed them for, a half a day, just following it. And by the time what I was looking at between the first one, which was 22 inches in diameter, looking at how he was above the other two, looking out after them, protecting them, making sure that they were okay, and then going down below, and then looking at the interaction between the other two, which was a mother and a little one, and then just watching that family unit as they moved to this little wet riparian area that we were working. And I mean, I was impressed to see, and I always called the personalities of the three. And then I eventually found a snow nest that they had built, and they had been there for at least a week. And their foot tracks, I didn't see this little area when I walked in, but when I came on a different sight line, that's when I came across all this. And I just sat there and was just in awe of how long they'd been there, and what they constructed. And just, you could see the interactions of all three of them as they spent this time in this spot.
I'm guessing by 22, because Bobby and I, we've found 22-inch prints here in South Central Florida. Coming out of the marsh, there was a half a print, then a full print, and as the substrate was getting higher in elevation, it got harder to make the imprints. But Bobby's got a 12-inch print, and there's that much left of the print past his foot. Mm-hmm. I would venture to say that 22-inch print belonged to a 10-footer.
Exactly. Yeah. About 5 years later, he was seen, and my coworker had done the investigation on that, and he called me up and told me what he had located, 22-inch track. And then he goes, the person that saw the 22-inch track didn't see the 18-inch track. He goes, well, that 8-inch track now, he's 14 inches long. Oh, wow. I was like, wow, it's impressive. I said, the little guy's growing up.
Yeah.
And I go, if his dad, 22-inch track and his mom is 18, that guy's going to be huge. And the witness, after we took some photos of where it was spotted and took it back down to her, she pointed on the map where it was standing next to the tree. We went back and measured that, and it was 9'11". So he was just, 1 inch shy of 10.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you found imprints and prints of anything other than 5 toes?
I can't say that I have. No, I've seen people that have shown me possible dogman tracks, but those tracks were still within the realm of wolves that have been located in the area.
Yeah, Bobby and I, when we were researching the Ocala National Forest, there's a bombing range in the middle of the Ocala National Forest. It's, I think, roughly 360,000 acres. We found 3-toed tracks, 17 inches long. We found 17-inch 3-toed tracks, 15-inch 3-toed prints, and 13-inch 3-toed prints.
Wow.
And they all look just like this.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
And this big toe looks as if you or I would have made it on on a bigger scale. It's
Yeah.
got, it's got the so this is actually a cleaner version than I made a copy of Bobby's original because it was done in pine forest, pine needles, scrub oaks, so it was full of pine needles and whatnot. And I made a copy of the original in sugar sand.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a difference. The only difference is it's cleaner. It's not full of all the little pock marks and still has pine needles stuck in it and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and all of them have this weird. There's a knot.
Yeah. I see it.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to work the camera.
No, I can see it in the shadows. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a knot right here, and then it narrows down. All of them, when you line the 15, the 17, and the 13 inch, they all have that same trait.
Wow.
And we didn't we weren't we were excited, but we were nervous at the same time
Well,
because
I bet.
we were like, we weren't sure what we know what we've seen. We weren't sure what a Bigfoot footprint's supposed to look like. And, with that, we're like, we didn't see what made it.
Mhm.
And we're not telling people that that's a Bigfoot print. But we are saying there's something out there with big feet and 3 toes, and there's a breeding population of them.
Yeah.
Just about a mile and a half south of a military bombing range. So either they've all gotten 2 feet blown off because of the unexploded, 2 toes blown off because of the unexploded mines,
Yeah.
bombs and stuff. I just wanted to ask about that to see if you guys have had anything different like that up there.
No, I have not seen anything less than 5 or more than 5 up here in Washington State. Any places that I've been around on my travels in the Pacific Northwest or with friends sharing with me.
Gotcha.
But I've heard about the 3-toed ones down there.
We don't know what that we don't know what that is. There's some people that are like, that's a lizard man. I'm like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see lizard man.
Yeah. Nobody wants to see a Bigfoot for the first time in the middle of the night that's 10 foot tall either.
Yeah, when I saw mine, I was a kid and I didn't want to look at it. I was 5 feet from it. I didn't want to look at it. I just turned away. But as an adult, I want to see it. I want to observe it. I know, careful what you wish for, but I've got some pretty interesting ways of looking at things physically, and I want to take it all in. I want to see what I didn't want to look at as an adult,
right?
For details. Right. I still the second one, the big one that came to the window. The way I explained it to everybody was, it was cinnamon colored. It wasn't like the first one that fell out of the tree. The cinnamon colored one, it looked like a really, really, really old Native American elder combined with maybe a caveman. It was a little gnarly, but it looked Native American. In this part, it looked Native American. This part, it looked more caveman. It had the lips that went all the way across, but it just looked a little more underdeveloped or evolved. This part looked more modern. All of this looked more modern. This didn't. So it's kind of gnarlier down there. But with your encounter on the hill, people always ask, I'll ask too, you're probably tired of hearing it, but were there any smells? Were there any other sounds? Were there any other breaks? Anything that other people might hear when they're out in the woods, but think nothing of it, and this might open their eyes a little bit?
Well, we were in a vehicle, and the wind was not. There really wasn't a breeze or anything like that when the event happened. And when I was down putting the sticks in the ground, I never noticed anything. I have smelled them before, but on that day, up to that point, I had never smelled one. And he did not. There was no sounds that first day other than the thrashing through the woods. and you couldn't hear, like when you hear people crashing through the woods, you hear the synthetic noises off of the cotton, off the Gore-Tex, off the polyester. You hear people going through the trees. But when you actually hear animals going through, all you hear are the steps.
The steps.
Because that's, their soft hairs and everything like that don't make that sound like our human fibers do.
The wisp, it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is probably why they are so silent at, doing what they do.
Yes.
You had mentioned to me earlier before the show that you wanted to talk about something that you have. It was blue, and it was in the shape of a can.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. I have an area that I go to that I found by accident. And to kind of set this whole thing up is that my wife and, we go camping a lot. And at the time I was living in Central Washington working for the tribe, and she was here in Bothell where we currently live. And so we would, on Fridays meet up someplace in the middle in Central Washington in the Cascade Mountains. So I chose this spot we'd never been to. So I had everything all packed up. So I took off earlier than she did. She was having a later work day. And when I arrived at this spot, it was completely black, completely dark. No other people in the vicinity where we were going to camp, because I drove up the road, pulled in, and didn't see anybody in any other spots. And was in my car. Just, I had just arrived, and so I rolled all my windows down. I had a Honda Pilot at the time, so I opened the sunroof, and I'm laying back, and I'm listening to utter silence, just quiet as can be. And next thing you know, I hear a snap, and I'm listening, and then I hear another snap, and then another snap, and next thing you know, I begin to realize that, hey, I have something walking towards me, and it's off on my right hand side, and I'm listening, and then I hear another set of footfalls, snap, and then I hear, and I'm like, what? No way, no. They're never this boisterous. They're never this loud.
Right.
And so I'm laying back and I'm listening. I got my eyes closed and I hear this. And then I hear the other one going, and he had a different tone to him. So, and they're walking right towards me. I can hear them advancing towards me. And I'm like, oh, wow. I'm doing this inside the vehicle because I don't know what's going to happen. What are they going to do? And so they're coming closer. They're still talking to each other. And then as they're approaching me, they have to cross the road to get to me in this little spot. And then I hear a vehicle driving up the road, driving up into the area. And so these two turn from to, so I could hear that they had a directional change, and they started walking towards the road that I drove up, and I could hear the car coming, and I could hear them walking, and I could hear them still talking with each other. So I got out of my car, walked up to the road, and that was listening to them walk away from me. And then the car got closer. Well, I could hear them walking, so I started walking behind them on the road while they're up on the timbered slope yet on the other side of the road. And as the car got closer and eventually stopped, the car's here, they're here, and I'm back away from them. And the two guys that were inside the vehicle got out, and I could hear them talking really loud about the day where they were going to go camp, about the area we were in. And I didn't know who they were. And so when these two guys got out of the car, these other two, which I call Shaggy and Scooby, just because the way they acted, I mean, they were just so crazy that they were going from the full-on voice of talking to each other to they were whispering to each other. So they're whispering to each other, listening and watching the two guys in the car. And I'm listening to all this from my position on the road. And then the guys got in the car, closed the doors, and the vehicle took off up on the other side of this hole that we were in. And then once they left, then the other two, Shaggy and Scooby, started talking in their regular voices again. And so they took their attention away from the car and then started walking back to where I was parked. And here I am on the road going, oh, I got to get back to my car. So I started walking back to my car, and I can hear them behind me talking as we're moving. And then they stopped, and I had to stop because I scuffled the dirt or the gravel on the road. So they heard me scuffle the ground. So they stopped, and they got quiet. And we sat there for a little while, and then they started talking again. And then I started walking again, and they're walking, and they've got a bigger, longer pace than I do, and they started to catch up to me. So I started jogging, moving faster, and then I scuffled the ground again, and then they stopped talking, and they stopped. So I stopped again, got quiet, and then they started talking again. And then I was on a full, longer pace than I'm usually used to get back to my vehicle.
Yeah, time to get out of here.
I make it to my vehicle. I slowly close the door, and I can hear them coming up on the other side of the road. And then I made this decision. It's like, nah, this is too early. You know, who knows how far I'm supposed to be here for the weekend. I've got 2 more days up here.
Right. No, this can't be happening now.
And this is too soon. You know, my wife is always saying if this interaction usually happens like this, then it's time to, you know, who knows how far it will go. I mean, depending on, you know, the activities of the people. And so I made the decision to go ahead and vacate. And then so I started my vehicle up, turned the lights on, and then I knew they were up on the hill as I was coming up to the main road. And then I just waved at the through the sunroof, and I said, okay, guys, I'm out of here. Come back later. This is your area again, and see you soon. And then I drove on out of there. And so I found this spot by accident with these two, and then had been back since. And the last time that I was there, this last fall, I was camping. I'd taken some other friends that wanted to go to other places. And so I shared this spot with them. And we had seen orbs. I don't know. Have you ever seen an orb before?
No. I have been with a group that there were multiple teams spread out, and a group. I'm not sure if you're familiar with who Kerry Arnold is.
No.
He ran the Bigfoot Odyssey page.
Okay.
Well, he did a documentary called The 168, and it's meaning 168 hours. We were out there for 7 days straight, and a big part of the group went to a different campground, and there was a big group sighting of I don't know how many orbs, 1, 2, 3. I wasn't there, but what they did, and I can't remember the order. Some had night vision and some had thermal, but I can't remember which one couldn't pick it up. I don't remember if it was the thermal that couldn't pick it up, but the night vision did, or the night vision couldn't pick it up and the thermal did. But they were people that had the same instruments, or different instruments. Mm-hmm. One of them was picking it up. But so I haven't been lucky. Long answer for a no. Sorry. Long answer for no. No, I haven't been out. I haven't seen an orb.
Yeah,
Um, I kind of want to. I kind of want to be that. I'm not the brightest guy in the box, but
yeah,
I kind of want to be the one to see if I can touch it. Um,
oh,
I want
yeah,
to
yeah.
lay my hands on something that's not because I. There are other things out there in the woods that people don't know about that
Right, right,
and all I will
exactly.
say is there are other things that are led to be myths and fairy tales that my my buddy Bobby, we were sitting side by side and we seen something that's not supposed to exist and it was I could have reached out and touched it.
Mm,
And it wasn't supposed to exist and we don't talk about it publicly.
yeah,
Um, because Bigfoot's hard enough.
right, right, right.
Bigfoot's hard enough for people to accept.
I already know. I already know about that. Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, we we are not closed minded. We are open minded. Not so much that our brains will pop out, but we are open minded about things. I'll never tell somebody they didn't have an experience they didn't have. I wasn't there, um, but I'm also one of those people. I believe you've seen what you've seen, but for me, I want to see it first for validation for me.
Right, right,
Not that you didn't see it, but for validation for me.
right.
Um, you know,
That
I'm
that I was the same way with orbs too, because I would hear people talk about them, and I had never seen one up until the story that I'm telling you about maybe 3 or 4 months before that when I seen one for the first time.
yeah. Um, I don't know what they are. The orbs. I don't know if There's just since it's hard to research something. It's hard to analyze something that moves around, and that you can't lay your hands on it. You may never see it again. You can only theorize: is it energy? Is it so spirits? A lot of people want to say that they're Bigfoots that they are out of body and they're traveling and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah,
My mentality is it doesn't have to be Bigfoot related. They could be spirits. It could be something else. Two things can be true at the same time.
yeah.
It doesn't, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
They very well could be Bigfoot. It could be a ghost. It could be something interdimensional. It could be something alien. Don't really know. If it's
Yeah.
something alien, maybe I not should not put my hands on it. If don't know if there's any kind of radiation because there's been some strange reports out there of people going out there and touching an orb and then dying from radiation poison or
Mm,
just disappearing upon touching.
yeah.
Um, what to believe? I got a family. I got to think about them.
Right.
But I have this joke with Bobby that so when we go research into it and we're out for 3 or 4 days, I have a butterfly net, and he's like, "What the hell are you gonna do with that?" I'm for an orb. If we see an orb, I'm catching an orb. It's kind of a joke, but
Right.
if it's something that deep, butterfly net, I don't think it's gonna capture it.
Right.
Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah, I haven't seen an orb. There were some people in the chat tonight that were a part of that group that I was telling you about that was out there. And feel free, Anti Venom, to chime in. Because she was out there, and she was one of the people in the group
Hmm.
um, that was a part of this great thing that we done.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So
have you seen more orbs more than one
yes,
time?
yes, yes, I have, and
Was there
uh,
any specific thing that was going on that you think made them there, or were they just there? What's your thoughts?
well, the people that there was two women that were with me, and we had gone for a walk around the camping area because I started telling the stories of the two young ones that were there, and then when I go out to a camping area, if, in any place of human activity, whether it be a campfire, a ring, a fence post, fencing, a house, or anything like that, that where humans advance out into the woods, I go out and I look for the contact areas where they will walk in. There are little trails that they use to advance into these locations without being spotted. so they can move comfortably by following these little tree breaks that they make, and then stand there for a while and observe the human activity or possibilities of human activity in the area before they advance in, and then wait at that one. So I've been teaching people how to follow those, and when at this camping spot, somebody, prior to me being there, uh, who knows how long it has been or how long this type of activity had happened, but I noticed that the trees were being shot up from rifles, shotguns, and everything. And so I told him, I said, I go, I found this spot, and we went and looked at it. And I go, this area shows aggression, where they have snapped the trees, broken the trees, pulled trees out of the ground, trying to chase the people out of here. And so I go, we'll keep an eye on this spot of where if something does advance towards us tonight, this is where he's coming from, she's coming from, is right here. And so during the evening, as we're sitting around the campfire, uh, I'm looking at the spot of the aggression. Uh, and then all of a sudden, this red orb just pops up out of nowhere, and about 7 feet off the ground. And it's huge. It's a big red one. And when we have contact, I tell the people to keep your ordinary voices. Don't point. Don't draw. Don't show attention towards it. Just let the person who has seen it describe everything that they're looking at to you, and then you ask that person questions, and then try to eliminate the possibilities of other things, and with moonlight or headlights or anything else like that. And so, but remain calm. Just continue to talk about the event until it's gone, or until you have no more questions about it, and then continue and jot down the time and everything in case somebody else in another camping area that may have been, elsewhere, uh, had gone through or seen that event, so that you can collaborate everything. And so this appeared, and then it was gone, and then the lady off to my right says, "I see eye glow." And so we're talking to her, and she's explaining to us about the eye glow. So she's looking from on my right to her left, or to my left, and the gal sitting over here on the left hand side is like, "I want to see it. I want it," all excited. I said, "Remain calm. Let her talk about what she's seeing. Describe everything. Eliminate the moon. Eliminate the firelight. Eliminate everything to narrow it down to what you're seeing and telling us that it is eye glow." And so I look over really quick, and I was like, "Okay, I see it." And so what I had seen was not anything to illuminate any object. This was further than the firelight itself, and it was low to the ground. And there was one set there, and they were white in color, just a white glow. And then you could actually see the blinking going on.
How far
And
apart
then,
were
and then we put it somewhere around 80 feet away from us.
the eyes? How far apart were they?
Oh, the eyes themselves were they didn't seem that far apart, because being young, or maybe part of the Shaggy and Scooby, because they were sub-adults, teenagers at the time, but just by the way they acted.
Yeah.
And so I mean, they weren't that far apart. And then she goes, "Oh my God, there's another set," and it was off to its left. And then so she's talking about it. She goes, "It's the same color, white, really bright." I go, "Again, eliminate everything else." She goes, "I can see the other ones blinking." And so the gal over here is like, "I want to see, I want to see, I want to see, I want to see, I want to see." And so I took another quick jot over, and I looked. I said, "Okay, yeah, I see the second set." And again, they were low to the ground, right next to the other, and then they were gone. And so we kept the fire going, and we started talking to see if anything else would happen, and nothing did. So they were staying by the fire in a van, and I had to walk up about 80 yards to my camp, which is just a single tent, and I had my car there. And so I walked up, left them, uh, walked around, and then got into my tent. And next thing you know, the southern wall of my tent just bright white. I mean, the whole wall was just nothing but white light. And I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at everything else, and it's just coming from this one spot. And I could not figure out for the life of me what was going on, other than when they got in their van, they may have turned their headlights on, but like I said, they were ways down. But this lit up my whole wall, and then it just dimmed out, and then it was gone. And so I asked them the next morning, "Did you have your headlights on?" They said, "Nope, we didn't have the headlights on." So I started to eliminate everything. The moon was right above here at this time, not on this wall. So I started going through things, and I still to this day cannot explain this big white light that was on the wall. And then after it shut down, then I started hearing the footfalls of one of the subjects that was watching us moving around my tent. And then I heard him run down to where they were at, and then he was down there for a while, and then he came back, and he was walking around my tent again. And then next thing I hear this whoop sound, and I'm trying to figure out what it was. And then he was there for at least another 10, 15 minutes, and then he was gone. And then, but I kept thinking, what was that sound? I said, I've never heard that from them before. So I got up the next morning, and I went to my cooler, and because it was on attached back of my vehicle on a little cargo rack. And then I opened it up, and I looked inside, and it wasn't, if an animal had gotten in their food, I mean, it would have tore everything up.
Yeah.
And then I looked inside, I saw a dirt streak across a bag of ice, and I was like, I wonder how that got there. And then so I shut it, and then it made the whoop sound. I said, okay, well, there's my sound. It was the cooler lid had been lifted up and then dropped.
Yeah.
And so I opened it up again, and I looked around, and then I started drinking a beer before I went down to visit with the girls down below. And then I never finished it. So I put it in a cooler on the right-hand side. And then I lifted the can up, and I started looking at it. And I was like, I don't crush my cans when I drink. But if you can see right here, you can see the indentation right through here.
Yeah.
So I put it in his hand. I was like, nope, that doesn't feel right. So it grabbed it with its right hand, and this is the thumb side, and it wrapped its hand around this side. So longer fingers, bigger hand. I could feel the palm right here.
Yeah.
So, and then as I could see, the thumb extends, the breakage, the bent, extends out further.
Yeah.
And then, so I was like, well, whatever he did, he had his right hand around it, and then he put it back into the cooler.
Did they drink any of it?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, it was half full. I wasn't going to drink anything after it, though.
Yeah. Right. I got some kind of explaining to do my wife on why I got this weird disease. And,
yeah.
When it comes to the orbs, my wife had mentioned, I've never seen them, but prior to the show, you and I were talking about my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And in our hallway, it's lined with mirrors on both sides. And it's probably 14-foot hallway that goes to our bedroom to the bathroom. And so there's two closets on one side, and they both have double panel sliding doors. And there's another closet on the other side that has double panel doors. Carly was sitting in the farthest one from the bathroom on the floor, and my wife was videotaping her because, we're she would have these blank stares, and we were trying to figure out, are they seizure related or whatnot. My wife was recording her down the hall, sitting on the ground, and my wife recorded an orb, a transparent orb that came up out of the carpet and went around Carly and disappeared. And she had that on recording, and I was like, oh, okay, that is strange. It came out of the carpet, it went around Carly. I think it went around her, and then it just vanished.
Yeah.
So my wife had seen one here in the house, um, but I think we have seen. She has a cubby bed that has a built-on camera, and the inside of it is for special needs children, and it's got a screen that zips up, and so they can't get out and fall out, hurt themselves, or anything at nighttime. And
Yeah.
I swear that looking in on the videos, we see little floaty things, kind of
What
just.
color is it?
They're like well, because it's night vision, everything's in black and white,
Okay. Yeah.
but it glows white, but it's not a it's not a ball that you can't see through. It
Mm-hmm.
just appears to be transparent ball,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. Yeah.
Um,
Because I recorded the same thing at a Christmas festival in Portland, where we recorded 4 different orbs moving above the crowd, and you didn't see it with your real naked eye at the time. But as I was going through videos, then you could see the orbs going up, and then you could see it moving around, and then you could see another one come down, and then just uh, disappear right above a group of people that were in front of me.
so I guess if what we seen in the videos were orbs, then I can say I have, if they were.
Mm-hmm.
I have no way to validate that that was orbs. But there's, every now and then there's some things that are kind of floating, and she's in a bedroom with the door shut and no ceiling fan on. She got a big zipper door that comes down that's mesh that you can see through, but it's a very sturdy zipper screen door, so she can't fall out and the zipper won't break or anything. It's not drafty in her room. Um, you know, it's possible that it could be dust,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. But it has that look of the one that my wife recorded in the hallway. And the light was on. It wasn't nighttime, so that's all in color and everything. It was just this white. I mean, gosh, it was probably smaller than a Q-tip, cotton Q-tip.
Yeah.
But it was a ball, and it was transparent, and it literally came out of the carpet, went up and around her a little bit.
Yeah. I'll have to try to locate those videos because I slowed those down, and from the actual I slowed them down to like a quarter speed of the video, and just to watch these things move around, and as fast as they were, I could see why nobody would be paying attention to them.
Yeah. There was something else. Oh yeah, you have a recent image from a couple weeks ago.
Yes, yes, yes.
Want to set that up? Talk about that. How that
Yeah,
happened?
here. Let me turn this light off. I think because of the light,
The glare.
Able to see but I will show you the picture first. I'll show you and the audience the picture first. And this was done a couple of weeks ago. I was helping out some friends on a large group outing, and yeah, various types of different contact, from orbs to sounds to being paralleled, and the eye glow as well. So multiple types of encounters going on during this outing with all these folks. On this one night, the last night, no, the second to the last night, I'd taken a couple of guys who were wanting to go on walks further out away from where people were going that the previous days. So I found this road and So I told him, I said, we're going to drive about a mile away from camp, then we're going to go walking down this road. I don't know where it goes. My reception isn't so well, but we'll follow it as far as we can. Well, it was a lot shorter than we thought because the trees had fallen across. So we got out, and there were three of us. And so, again, my instructions, don't be stealthy. You're not going to, if you think you're going to sneak up on them, you're not, because they already know you're coming before you thought you were coming into this area. And so we're just going to just keep talking, ordinary voices. Somebody hears something, explain what you heard, what direction, don't point, just keep going. And then if anything else happens, again, don't talk about it, don't point, just keep walking. That way they can keep up that, okay, we didn't hear it or we're not aware that they're there. And so within the first couple of minutes of walking, I heard two subtle wood knocks real quick, pow, pow. And then I told them about it, the direction I heard it from. And the guy that was walking on my left said he had already heard it. So confirmation that the two subtle wood knocks were off to our left side. So we kept walking, kept talking. Next thing you know, a whistle came out off on the same left-hand side. Again, the guy that was on my left and I had heard it, but the guy on the right didn't hear it. And then he started getting mad. He goes, well, why can't I hear him? I was like, well, guy, because you're not on the right side, I guess. And so we kept walking. And as we were, we'd gone about 6/10 of a mile. This was about 11:30 at night. And we stopped at this road junction. And I started talking to the guys about, I had in my pack a Gen 3 night vision monocular and a small thermal, not a recorder, but a thermal imager. And it had like an 1.5 to 2 inch screen on it. So they had never seen it before. So I gave one the thermal, and then I gave the other one the night vision. And they're looking around and everything. And then all of a sudden, and I want to ask you a question before I continue. Have you ever felt them project towards you? Whether it be words or some type of tingly feeling to let you know that they're around?
Well, I want to answer that in a way that's not going to, because I want to be honest and truthful, but I want to answer it from my perspective. Okay. But I have to go into just a little bit of a detail if I just say yes or I think. So just bear with me. Give me about 2-3 minutes to explain what had happened. My wife is in here too. I was on 2019. I was going up to Tennessee. I went up 95, got off of 40, which is East Tennessee, just 5-6 miles away from North Carolina. I got off on the Foothills Parkway, and there's these overlooks going towards Cosby and going towards where Dollywood is, Gatlinburg. And so as I'm driving up at this, I see this first overlook where you can look out this big beautiful scenery in the valley or whatnot. And I got out, did this weird yell that Matt Moneymaker does out to the valley. And I said to myself, you dummy, nothing's going to hear you. There's nothing to bounce back at. It's just a big open space. And I got roared at from behind. And it sounded like what the noise you made before. It sounded like a humanoid. Rah! I mean, it came down. I could just is on the edge of feeling it on my pant legs. Well, I called my wife, told her what happened. She said, don't go up there. You're by yourself. I said, I won't. And then I did. And on my way up, as I'm looking at things mid stride, I wasn't looking at the ground for imprints or anything, but there was so much leaf litter that everything was covered in leaves, just freshly fluffed up leaves. Everything was covered in leaves. So I had no reason. But I'm looking. I'm looking. I'm not thinking. I'm just looking. I'm looking. I'm looking for something horizontal movement in a vertical world. The trees going up, and I'm looking for some kind of movement. And I'm not thinking, but in mid stride, it wasn't my thought. Um, I got, do not take another step. It'll be very bad if you do, in mid stride. So I planted that foot down, and I'm like, yeah, that's really specific and really weird. Okay, fine. I won't. I immediately beeline to where because I wanted to get above where I thought it came from so I could look down without having to see the canopies and filter all that through the trees and stuff. Because when you're going up a hill, you see the trees, you see the canopy, you see the hillside, but going down, you don't see that canopy. You see the trees and the hill. My mind was trying to eliminate other things that I had to process while I'm looking for what I'm looking for. So I listened to what it said in my head, and I went directly towards where I thought it was. I got about 15 yards away from that spot in mid stride. Again, the same exact, do not take another step. It'll be very bad if you do. And so that ruined my day. I stopped and I listened to it. Now, the reason I say it like I said it is at first I was thinking, um, I was just these weren't my these this wasn't mind speak. I don't think this was mind speak, but it felt like a thought projection that was not mine.
Right.
Um, and at first, I thought maybe they were warning me, but somebody else brought it up to my attention. Well, maybe, maybe it wasn't them. Maybe it was something more along the lines of spiritual, like a guardian angel telling you and keeping you safe. Don't go any farther. You're putting yourself at risk. Because what I can tell you, Mel, is it was not mind speak, but it was not my thought.
Mm-hmm.
It was like interrupted. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Oh no,
It,
no,
it
it makes perfect sense because I
mentally, it was mentally interrupted. Whatever was going on up here, it interrupted and set off an alarm. And here's the thing: when I say, "Do not take another step," it'll be very bad if you do. When I say it any other way, it feels like a sin to say it any other way than the way that thought was projected to me. I don't understand that. I don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. I feel wrong wording it any other way than the way it got put into me.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know how to
yeah,
explain that.
yeah. Well, I after this one, I'll share you an event that I okay. I gotta have a question.
Sure.
So you didn't feel any warmth or anything else with that message that it was directed towards you and only you.
I was by
You're
myself.
saying it was just inside you.
Yeah, no, it was, again, it was like a thought that was not my own interrupted what I was doing.
Hmm.
And it was like, bam, hey, don't, do not take another step. It's going to be very bad if you do. Um, and again, I reacted to that. It was mid stride. My foot hit and I pivoted.
Yeah.
And then I was about where the height of where I thought it yelled at me from. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go straight to the source. 15 yards later, in mid stride, do not take another step. It'd be very bad if you do. When my foot planted, and then I literally was like, well, damn, that kind of ruins why I'm up, why I put myself at risk coming up this mountain.
Yeah.
But on the
Yeah.
way back, as things confirmed, were okay. So now I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, I'm not supposed to. Something told me not to go over there, and it wasn't intuition. It wasn't a feeling. It wasn't me getting scared. I wasn't thinking about really anything other than trying to set myself up to see something. And again, it was like a thought that was intrusive to my thoughts that overpowered what I was doing, and my body listened. I tell people all the time, you say you're going to do one thing until you're put into a position. You can say you're going to do it, but your body's going to tell you different. It's either going to allow you, or it's going to make you freeze or get the hell out of there. It's some people don't have that control over their body when fear sets in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so it was it. it felt like an intrusive thought that was not my own. But I don't remember. I don't remember any warmth. I don't. I remember I was at a place that I shouldn't be because I was by myself, and I just got roared at something that sounded like it was a giant.
Hmm.
It sounded like a giant caveman Neanderthal humanoid. Rah!
Yeah.
Because what I did was I did that Matt Moneymaker yell out to
Mm-hmm.
the thing. Well, then I turned around and I was a '80s, hairband singer with a pretty good range and a pretty good set of lungs, and so I did one of my really high pitch woo right at the spot. Within 3 seconds, it yelled back at me.
Wow.
And then when I saw on the way back, going the way I went because I wanted to take the path of least resistance, it was a pretty steep hill mountain. I started noticing everything was covered in leaves, but there were dinner plate size rocks on top of the leaves in certain spots that should have been covered. There were
They
down
should have been
trees.
covered. Yeah.
They were down trees that were covered in leaves. And I saw 12 or 15 of them. I saw a couple that were sitting behind a tree. So the road is downhill and they were behind the tree going up. And so then naturally I was like, is this a little bit of rock slide or something? There's no disturbance. There's no mud on these things. The leaves are wet. The rocks a little damp. Like they ain't been there long. And my mind started thinking, something's here. It just roared at me. And there are 12, 15 dinner plate sized rocks on top of leaves that should be buried, covered in leaves. And there's not some Gomer Pyle Bigfoot walking up with an armful of stones and tripping and dropping them as he goes.
Right.
Something's residing here. It's not just passing through. So I came back a month later. It drove me nuts. I thought about it and thought I drove 12 and a half hours home. So here in Port St. Lucie, Florida, and it drove me nuts. My wife will tell you, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop. They're here. They're here. I would have not known that thing was there had it not roared at me, had it not yelled at me. All my encounters I've ever had, I would have never known they were had they not vocalized at me first.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came back, sorry, I'm getting off on a me when we're
Oh,
supposed
no,
to be
no,
here
no, no,
talking
no, no,
about
no, no.
you.
Go right ahead, man.
When I came back, I got there, and we're all adults here. I'm going to just talk like an adult, like I did when I was there. I pulled into the exact same overlook. So when you pull parallel to the sidewalk's about 3.5 feet wide. And then there's a 200-foot drop off. There's no railing. There's no net. There's no nothing. So I pulled up to the same exact place with my truck running. I got out of my driver's side door. I went back to my truck, went past the tailgate, stood on the sidewalk, and then my truck's right here beside me, the tailgate. And I stood on the sidewalk and I did that same exact yell. 3 seconds later, I got a whoop and a grunt. But that whoop wasn't a whoop. It didn't go from low to high. It started from high to low. It went, whoo! Whoa!
Wow.
And then I was elated. I was like, I'm right. I was validated. I was validated. I was validated. Okay, I'm starting to get chills because this part affects me. What happened? This part affects me, and I'm already getting the tears, and I don't know why. But my truck's still running. Okay, Mel. I go over. My door's open, which is facing the mountainside that I went up once. That I'm fixing to go back up again now. I get in my truck and I'm sitting in the driver's seat, but not facing the wheel. I'm facing the mountain with the doors open, and I'm putting my hiking boots on. And I said up here, okay, I said this in my mind, and that's why it affects me so much. I said in my mind, I just drove 12 and a half fucking hours. There's nothing that's going to stop me from crossing this road. And within about 3 seconds, there was what sounded like a giant tree smashing up against another tree. It wasn't tree fall. There was no cracks and a tree falling and all kinds of racket. It sounded like a giant tree hitting another tree. And I never crossed the road. But I said it up here. I said to myself, I'm excited. I just drove 12 and a half hours. Nothing's going to stop me from crossing this road. I didn't. And it bothered me because I spent a lot of money and a lot of time going back up there. Um, and I had to go back again, but Bobby went with me this time.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went up, it was raining. There was just a complete different feel. Before, it felt like presence. This time, it did not. We went up this same month, but a year later, um, and there was a tree. So there's a hangover on the backside where it goes down, and there was a tree hanging over that hangover. Okay, so this is the ledge, and then there's a tree hanging over that ledge
Okay.
like this.
Yeah.
The root ball's back here, and the tip of the tree's hanging over. There is a piece of limestone about 2.5, 3 feet long, about that deep. So it was about half the size of a coffee table, smashed on that downed tree. And the other half of that limestone was on the other side of that root ball. So something broke a coffee size stone on that tree, and it made sense right then and there. I wasn't hearing tree on tree. I've got pictures of it. This rock was smashed down on a tree to let me know Bobby and I wasn't going to be able to pick that thing up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so all that just to say, I said something up here and I got a response.
Mm-hmm.
And don't ask me why that affects me more than my childhood sighting of seeing two within 5 feet. I still feel the emotions as a child. I still get the hair. I still get the voice cracking. I feel the fear of a 5-year-old boy as an adult. But this is different. When I said to myself, nothing's going to stop me from crossing that road, something heard it and
Yeah.
said, do you want to bet?
Yeah.
And that is hard to process.
Yeah.
So enough about me.
No, that's great. That's great. I mean, that's a great learning experience with them, a sort of introduction to be able to, and you know, when we started off on this, we were looking for all types of evidence. No evidence of this whole thought projecting, and then it happens, and then it was like, oh no, you know, all of a sudden your whole physical trying to prove them to everybody else now is like, oh, this is different now.
Yeah.
This is me trying to prove to myself, what did I just experience? And the connections that I just made with them is something that will not only carry with the event that you just had at this location, but wherever you go. And I can tell you that wherever you go now, the connection that you've made will be spread out, and they will call you by your name in different locations because this network has been created now where they know and trust you.
And that's what some people were trying to tell me because my childhood encounter was a vocalization of one that was in a tree on the other side of the trailer a little bit back in the woods. And it sounded like a lady getting ripped in half. It was just one scream, ah! Just one terrifying, curdling scream. We would have never known it was there
Mm-hmm.
had it not screamed at us. And then the one in East Tennessee, the same location twice. They could have just shut up and I would have went on my merry way. So it was brought up to me that, maybe because they're so it's with nature, and they've been around for so long, they're so grounded to earth and whatnot, and the energies around them, maybe they can see your aura.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
they can
Yeah.
maybe they can see your intention. Maybe they can see that you're not a bad person. You're or something has marked your aura, stained your aura, or imprinted on your aura, and mine is different, and my buddy Bobby, he's like, you probably got a pinko and they think you're a sissy, and that's why they're messing with you or something. Um, but, um, that's always something to think about. There's no way to prove any of that, or even think that that's what it is.
Well,
But there's something that I can't put my hand on. I would have never had any of these encounters without the vocalization first.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, and from my travels all over, the connection that you've made the one will be passed on to the others, and you will be known wherever you go. I guarantee it because I've been called by my name many times in other locations. And you go in with that pure heart, you go out and you set those parameters right off the get-go of who you are, why you're there, introducing you and your family and everybody that is there, and not to and let them know that I'm not here to prove anything. I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn from you, and I want to continue to be on the right path with everybody out here, and then your life experiences with them will change immensely.
Yeah, I do
And
know the one thing I have put together. Um, it could be coincidence, but it's a hell of a coincidence. Mel, is I can still carry when I'm out. It's not for Bigfoot purposes. I'm in the Florida woods and swamps where the hogs are in bunches. We got cougars and gators. I'm, I've never had any knocks or anything while I'm concealed carrying. When I don't have a weapon on me, I will have like my machete, for chopping stuff.
yeah,
When I don't have a weapon on me, I have, again, it could just be coincidence. I've had knocks, but it seems more silent when I am carrying, like activity.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you don't
And
always get activity every time you go out either.
no, no, no,
So it
no,
could just be
no, no.
coincidence.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, that's that. I'm glad you shared that. Impressive. I
Uh,
love it.
I don't know if it, like, again, it just very well could be coincidence. Um,
Well,
but it's something.
it's not coincidence when you're talking to somebody that has also had the same type of experiences that you have, and now we can put it into the like as like similarities of and then now you can continue there that there are other people out there that have made those type of connections with them, and you know at first it starts out, oh yeah, I've seen the footprints, seen them do this, seen them do that, about the physical stuff, but now we're on a different different line here now with them. And that this is the line that we have tried to get on television, but you can't do it without the Hollywood roar,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's they don't understand, and a lot of people don't understand it, and you get put in a category when you start sharing this stuff. Then it's like, okay, all right, well maybe we'll put Jimmy over here, and we'll put him over here with Mel now because he's just like,
yeah, yeah. That's why I
but
said the mind speak thing. It wasn't something talking to me. It felt like a thought that was put in my head that was not my own. Um, and
oh yeah,
um, it just wasn't mine,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
Um, and I've never said I don't believe in mind speak. Um, it's just never happened to me.
yeah.
Because that wasn't mind speak to me. And I could be reading it all wrong. Mind speak to me is I'm having a conversation mentally with something else.
Right. Yeah. You're interacting with them. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And there was no interaction. This was I'm doing my thing, and something jumped in and said, "Do not take another step. It'll be very bad if you do."
Hmm.
And my body stopped.
Yeah.
I didn't make that decision. My body stopped, and then I made the decision to follow what my body did. Um,
Oh, oh, thanks. That I mean, I'm glad you shared that. I'm just to know that there are other folks out there that are just at that level to be able to go further with them, and out there allowing you to go further with them.
yeah, and again, I never. I'll come back to that. I never said that was them because I don't know that it was, but I know it wasn't me.
Hmm.
The only reason I'm saying that is because somebody put another thought into my head that maybe you had a guardian angel or something spiritual protecting you.
Protecting you. Yep. Yep.
Um, and so I won't label it as Bigfoot, but I also won't label it as a guardian angel either. I don't know what that looks like, what that would experience would be. I just know that that experience happened, and I can't pin it to. This is where I come back to two things can be true at the same time. I don't know if it was Bigfoot. I don't know if it was a guardian angel. Um, I don't know what it was, but it
Hmm.
wasn't me.
Yeah.
Um, and I was there for one thing. I wasn't there for no spiritual guidance or spiritual seeking. I was looking after that hairy man. Um, and my stepfather was a Native American Indian, and he was when I had a childhood encounter. As soon as we pulled up to this area, he said, "Stay out of the woods. There's a hairy man back there." He warned us.
Yeah.
Um, and at that time, we laughed. Hairy man in the same sentence we've never heard before. It was funny. It was a joke. And he didn't like us. He figured, fine, if you get eaten, good, type of thing. Um, but I, I don't want to say it was Bigfoot, but I can't say that it wasn't.
Hmm.
But I can't say that it was.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense to you.
Oh, no, no, no. Yeah, I mean, we always get that type of when when an elder takes a group out, and then it's like, well, there is a forest person, a hairy man, Sasquatch, Bigfoot out here. So just be careful. And if you start to sense that he doesn't want us around, then we stop what we're doing and then we vacate the area and then we go someplace else.
Yeah, I do like your approach with your team of telling them not to point, not to um,
Draw
react.
attention to them. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
because it's hard not to,
Hmm.
especially at nighttime. It's hard not to.
Yeah.
It's hard not to. Oh, there's something coming from over there. It's
Yeah.
it is hard
Right.
not to. And at
Yeah.
nighttime everything is amplified.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
and but I've done most of the nighttime stuff by myself. Bobby lives 3 hours away. Mikey's got a job and a personal life, and asking people at the drop of a hat, "Hey, I'm getting ready to go to the woods." They're like, "Nah, I'm sleeping." Um, I will do most of that stuff by myself. It's a
Mhm.
bad idea, but my mindset is when it hits me, I have to go.
Yeah.
We're like, I need to go to the woods tonight. I need to go check it out, and it's always been those spur acts on something that tells me go to the woods tonight. Where I've gotten something, you know,
And
and
like you said, it's not all the time either.
no,
And yeah.
no. But did you want to show that picture that you had?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got way off there. I'm so sorry, man.
Oh no, 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 no. I hope everybody's enjoying this. I do. I personally haven't met you, so but for you to share something like that sure takes a lot. Takes a lot to be able to come out front, not just as a person, but to the whole. This is going to be on the internet, so
Yeah,
everybody's got to hear. But yeah, we were a couple of weeks ago we were out, and so the reason I asked the question about uh, sensing things around you, um, I told I told the other two my back was to wherever what it was going on. As I told them, I says I'm getting this tingling sensation, and I always get this when something is not right or something is trying to say something to me. And so I started feeling it up here, and it just started buzzing, just as, and then it went into my shoulders, went down my shoulders, it stayed there for a little bit, and then I told the guys, I said I don't want you to be scared or anything like that, but when I get these sensations that something is around and it's making contact with me, whether it wants us around or letting us know it's around, they will let me know. And so just as I said that, the guy directly across from me says, don't know what is going on, but he goes, but I'm feeling this electric sensation going through my body. I said, okay, well, that's good because that's exactly what's going on with me right now. And right now it's in my shoulders, it's in my chest. He goes, it's all over. He goes, I feel it from head to toe. I said, okay. And so as he was describing what he was feeling, then the third guy directly to my left, he goes, I'm getting it from my right side into my back. And he goes, what's going on? I said, he's around and he's letting us know he's here. And if this continues or if it intensifies, then he doesn't want us to be here. He wants us to go. So I will be the first one alerted if this gets to the point where it's painful for me, and then we're just going to turn and walk. But just continue to tell me out loud what's going on between you two, so that you understand what's going on, and then the direction that you think it's coming from. And so mine subsided, and then the guy directly across from me, it started to go away, but the guy to my left was still going through it. So we stood there, and he was still talking about what was happening to him, and and then it started to settle down for him. And then I said, "All right, well, just keep talking. And if anything else pops up, let us all know aloud, and then don't point. Just give us a direction." And so nothing else happened after everything settled down for the three of us. And then I pulled out the Gen 3, and then I pulled out my little thermal. And so they're looking around. They've never seen it before. And the person with the thermal is doing a 360 all the way around us. And so directly behind me, where it all started for me, he sees something. And I go, what'll he goes, I've never looked through this before. What is this? And so I go over, and it's got like about an inch and a half screen on it. And so he's pointing right at it. And I was like, all right, well, just keep on it. And I go, this does not take the best pictures. So let me use my camera. Let me use my phone. I grabbed my phone, and I hovered above it with my camera, and I took 2 pictures of the screen. And let's see if we can get this to
Maybe back up and go over to your left a little bit.
Go over here, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's a little fuzzy,
yeah.
but right here is the head. There you go. Can you see it now?
The glowing spot.
Yes.
It's looking off to like it'll be looking off to the left.
Yeah,
what it
it's
looks
looking
like.
directly at us, and what you can see is the two eye sockets.
Yeah, in the
Let me.
glow. It's all the way to the left of your screen. Well,
There we
when
go.
we're looking at it in the computer, it's the glowing hot looks like a face all the way to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is what we were looking at for right around 2 minutes, and it wasn't moving. And so we kept the thermal on it and watched it, and it never moved. And so we knew we had something there. And I told him, I said, if we do, let's call it a night. He says, we're not out here to prove anything to anybody. I said, you got to experience what you did. You got to see what you got to see. I said, let's leave it alone. Leave him alone. And then so we waved at it, said goodbye, and then we started walking out of the area. Well, we went back out the next day, out to the same spot, and I know this is not going to show up, but this is the same area, and nothing.
Yeah.
There's the rock that was down below, but nothing else is in the screen. And we did other recreations of yeah, I don't like the glare, but this is the person right there standing next to the tree,
Yeah.
and he is 3
Smaller.
feet 3 feet shorter than
Yeah.
the subject that was there. And we also did pictures, and then you can see him standing there.
Yeah.
But again, the subject was way up here.
Yeah.
And so you know, when I used to do my talks, when I did my talks, people always ask me, "What do you have? What do you have?" I said, I told them I have a Gen 3 and I have a night vision. And then I told them, don't buy them. Don't buy them because you're never going to see one through there. It took 20 some odd years, 24 years or somewhere around there for me to see something like that through a thermal or through night vision. And but the experience between the three of us with the body scan or whatever you want to call it, this whole tingling body experience that each one of us went through, me first, the guy directly across from me, and then the guy out to my left, to be able to go through this. And the other two have never had this happen to them before, and they were freaking out. And we were still talking about it when we arrived back at camp until like about 1 o'clock in the morning. And then when we got up the next morning, it was like we went right back out there, took the measurements, took new thermal pictures, and then tried to recreate it as best as we could. And so they they I think they got more than what they bargained for when they went out for the night or for this outing that they were on.
Do you think that's what people describe as infrasound, or you think that's something different?
I think that's something different. I think this was just. I mean, I have been through infrasound at work before, to where they put so much pressure on me that they didn't want me in an area, not mind speak or any type of thought, but my whole body being weighted down and to the point of inside my stomach and everything, where I felt like I was going to throw up.
Yeah.
And my coworker that was with me at the time too, who was down the hill about 50 to 60 feet, was going through the same experience that I was and we were apart from each other. So I felt it, but I didn't know if she was going through anything until she caught up to me and got like, what's in here? What's going on here? Because I don't feel good.
Carrie Arnold kind of described that feeling as like a washed over feeling of like an invisible weighted blanket type of.
Yes. Yeah.
Like a presence, like a something put upon you. And it kind of sounds the same.
Yeah. Because my coworker, I go, what's going on? She goes, I feel like I'm carrying 100-pound pack right now, and I can't go any further. Yeah. And she was wondering how much longer we were going to be there. I says, well, we were sent out here to find this stream, this bubbling water coming out of the ground, so that we could protect this area from logging. I said, until we find it, then we can go. And then when we eventually did, about 20 minutes later, then I said, well, okay, I got the GPS point. I got the pictures. I pinpointed this on the map. I said, we can go now. And then I told him, I said, we're leaving. And then as we were walking out, then we started feeling better.
That's getting farther away from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever have any equipment malfunctions in the field?
No,
like
but
strange things happen with your equipment?
No. I can't say that I have, but my sister told me a story one time where her old truck failed. And then she had one circling her truck. She's not an outdoor person. She had something circling her truck, and she was trying to start it, and it wouldn't start. And then it showed up, and then walked around, brushed up against her truck, played with the antenna, and then jumped in the back of her truck and started bouncing up and down. and then got out of the truck, walked around a couple more times, and then left. And then as soon as it was gone, she was able to start her truck back up.
That's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah.
Hey, do you have any events, or do you have any pages, any sites, any links you want to share or talk about to direct
Uh,
people to go to? Or
well, we have. I do talks, and I kind of settled back on them. Let me see. I had it here, but I I do talks. Get invited to do presentations, and I used to do a lot of them over the years, like about 8 a year. But then I took a break, and then only settled on 3. And we have I have been invited to do a presentation up in Chilliwack, British Columbia, and that's going to happen in September. And I'm trying to find the dates. I don't. Do you have the dates on you?
I seen it earlier. I could probably find it in a blink. Let me see here.
I had it up here, but then when I went to go look
Um,
for this picture,
it looks like it's the 2025 Sasquatch Conference, and Saturday, September 13th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday, September 14th, 9:30 to 3:30. Is that right?
yeah, yes,
You
that's
got
the one.
you got
And that,
Miss Marie Renee Holland's going to be there. Do you want me to read off any other names?
yeah, you can go ahead and read
Uh,
off the whole presentation list.
and then as soon as I clicked on it, the daggum thing went blank. Let me try this again. Oh, for the love of Pete. I'm trying not to. I've got monovision contacts. So one's for seeing close, and one's for seeing far away. And I'm trying to. So I see you there as a speaker. I see Jill Remschneider. Does that sound
Rem
familiar?
Snyder, yes.
Brett Ecclesberger,
Eichenberger, yes.
Eichenberger, um, Sheldon Kuwazans.
Lozano,
Yes, him. I was way off on that one too. There's Matt Parrish
yes.
and Michael Ferry.
Yeah, the Michael Ferry, uh, Brett, and Jill are the filmmakers. If you've ever seen this series, and I recommend it to you, everybody, if they have not, of the Flash of Beauty series.
Yes, I've seen it.
Yeah, and so they are the whole people behind it, and so they've been invited to this conference this year, and I always, whenever I'm involved within something, I try to get them to be invited as well, so that they can film the folks that are there. So get more Sasquatch encounters on tape and everything, like big forest people encounters on tape.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we all know Renee Holland from Finding Bigfoot, and then we have Matt Parrish, who is a local person here in Washington State that lives on the Olympic Peninsula, that moved into the area from Texas, and then has a habituation uh, in, encounters with his individuals that come around his place.
Is he a part of the Olympic Project?
No, he is not.
Okay.
He's near them, but no,
Okay.
he's not part of the Olympic Project.
Gotcha. Well, this was a great show. Do you have a whole lot more to talk about? I mean, meaning if you would like to come back some other time and talk about some more stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean,
If
yeah, I can
or
come back.
if you have, or if you want to just check in after the conference and tell us how it went, and if you learned anything new or whatnot. That'd be a fun little, little quick drop-in show type of thing if you wanted to, or if you don't want to come on and you just want to talk about fun, I'm down with that too, man. I can babble a lot.
Yeah. Oh, so good. I mean, we sure. That's what this whole environment is about. Is about um, interacting and learning each individual person that has had experiences.
I agree. Learning, listening, validating, sharing, um, having that compromise of opening up a little more instead of being so closed off. I think there's quite a lot of people that are closed off in this community, and I think if they would open up just a little, um, there might be a more wide array of things because a lot of people won't share some of the strange stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
um,
I was going to share if we got time.
sure.
You had an event that you had a thought come to you from something somewhere around you or inside you, whether it be a guardian angel or whether it be the subject that was around you. But I was out with two friends, my wife and then another friend, and she was showing us her area and areas where other events of her history of encounters. And so as she's taking us up into this spot, looking around, there's nothing spectacular about it. I mean, it's a really dense forested area of Doug fir, a lot of mid-alpine species trees. And so we're walking up this trail that the neighborhood has. And as she's talking to us about things, she stops and she starts turning around and she's talking to me and my wife who's in between us. So there's three of us there. And then all of a sudden, something just, that's why I asked the question about a wave of something coming at you. A wave of warmth started just coming right at me. And this is like going from a cold spot into a sunny area. And then it just started from the right side. It started hitting me. And I'm looking at the other two, wondering if they're going through this. But it just kept all over my head, down to my feet. I could just feel it, wave after wave coming through me, going from right to left. And I'm trying to figure out what is going on. And then I get, you need to walk towards her. And I I didn't know where this came from. And so I was like, okay. And I'm looking around, looking up the hill. You need to walk towards her. And then my left foot started moving. My left foot I didn't lose my balance. Um, and so my left foot moved forward. And I was like, okay, I'm going towards her. And so I'm walking towards our guide and had to walk past my wife. And so she's listening to her talk. And then this wave and wave and wave is starting to come from right to left yet. And then it's like it said, you need to give her a hug. So, okay. All right. So I'm walking. I've got about 5 or 6 more steps to get to her. And then wave, wave, wave hitting me from this side. And as I'm getting closer to her, I she's looking at me really strange. And I said, I'm supposed to give you a hug. And she goes, oh, okay. All right. So I put my arms around her and I give her a hug. And then this wave is still coming at me. And it said, you need to tell her thank you. So I said, they want me to tell you thank you. And so I let go and I took a couple of steps back. And then she emotional about it. And then she goes, oh, that was nice. And then I don't know where this all came from, but she looked off to my right, and then she yelled out, "Thank you!" And then immediately after she said "Thank you," we got this from up atop of the hill where this whole thing was coming from.
Yeah.
And we all heard it, and we were just like, you know, trying to figure out what just happened to. Oh, what was, you know, that all that emotion just left us, and then it was like, wow, that was validation that all three of us had heard that validation that whatever I was going through, that somebody had a response to this. And then as we were walking out, you know, that wave of happiness and everything else that was being projected towards me was gone. And then we just kept talking about what each person saw from their perspective, like mine, my wife's, and then the other person kept talking about it on the way out. And so, it does happen.
I have heard of it. I have heard of not just I called what I had like thought projection. It wasn't mind speak.
Mm-hmm.
But I have also heard multiple times of not thought projection, but more of an emotional um, projection connection that is also supposed to be projected. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like they're emotionally making a connection with you, projecting that emotion on you to project it elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also heard it as people receiving and that emotional projection that's for them, not to give to somebody else. But what's weird about it was I think the areas were like in Washington, um, British Columbia. I haven't heard any stories from other places. I've heard them from up in the northwestern area. I haven't heard them anywhere else, but I think I've heard three other um, examples of that. When you first got the waves that came through to you, were you able to move? When it first initially happened, was it like you were paralyzed at that moment?
I didn't feel paralyzed. I just didn't know what was going on until my foot moved, and then I was like, "Hey, I didn't do that. That wasn't me moving forward." But it wasn't weird at the time. Uh, but no, other than just feeling like a like a fan on blowing warm air on you
Yeah,
is what I felt.
yeah, gotcha. I felt something similar like that. I could tell you about it after the show because it's not Bigfoot related. Um, um, wow, this was a really good show, um, and I think it's easy to have a really good show when you've got a great guest. Um, so I want to thank you for coming on, taking the time. You didn't have to come on. You're a busy guy. You got things going on, and I appreciate that. I think everybody else appreciates that too. So thank you so much for coming on. Everybody in the chat, thank you for coming here tonight and being here and taking in everything that Mel shared with us and some of the stuff that I've already shared. But it's totally up to you when we end the stream. If you want to stick around and chat, I know we're going on 2 hours. If you don't, I won't be offended. If you want to, that is just fine with me as well too.
No,
But
no, I'd like to hang around.
um, yeah, my buddy Dan Bazinka said, Mr. Mel Shakan. Shakan?
No,
Say it again. Say it again.
Skahan.
That's not an H. That's a K. Skahan. I said it wrong the whole time. Damn it.
That's fine. I've
Mel
heard.
Skahan. Skahan. Read what you're seeing.
Well, see, we used to do a radio show back at the Tribe, and I used to tell my co-hosts the different uh, sounds they would make, you know, introducing me. So my one of my co-hosts, who's gone now, bless his soul, came up with Dr. Shakalaka. He says, "I'm going to call you Dr. Shakalaka from now on."
Yeah, I get people that will see my name in writing, just like I did yours. They will see my name in writing. They will see my name tag. My principal at my high school graduation introduced me as now coming to the stage, Jamie Barr. No, my name is Jimmy. People corrected him. Jimmy! Like, come on, man. You're the principal. You got to be able to read my name right. I don't know. I've been hundreds of times in my life, I've been called Jamie.
Mm-hmm.
Even though people see my name and say Jimmy.
Yeah.
My buddy Dan always spells my name Jimmy, even though right there in front of him it says Jimmie. But I ain't gonna pull it up. I ain't gonna use it against him. I'm not even gonna bring it up.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mel
Oh,
Skahan, everybody.
oh, for
What
you.
was a wonderful guest, and hopefully, even if after the show you don't ever want to come back on again, I
Oh
love
no, I'd be happy to share
uh,
more. I mean,
I'd love to keep up
that's why we're
communication with
here.
you. I'd love to keep up communication, maybe build a friendship out of this because I really enjoyed this.
Alrighty. Well,
Awesome.
thank you for inviting me. I'm glad that I'm here, and thank you for your audience and as well. Enjoyed the comments and everything, and thank you for all the positive things.
Absolutely. Everybody, we're going to call it a night. It's been a couple hours, probably the longest podcast we've ever done, but it's kind of goes fast when, like I said, when you got a good guest, the show flows really well. Everybody, my cousin, love you. My wife, I love you more. Uh, Mikey V, I love you too, bud, like a brother. Let everybody think that was here. Thank you for coming, and you guys have a great night. And we should have a show lined up next week. I'm just kind of waiting on a couple responses. But I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great night. Bye bye.
Good night, everybody.